Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Business and Beyond's Feature Friday with yours truly, Tanya Bartolini. I am so excited about today's guest because she has done so much, and I think a lot of us, especially women and moms, can relate to her. Her name is Nancy Benet. She is a licensed CPA, entrepreneur, and CEO of both Fix It Accounting and Success Your Way, online education platform empowering women to start and grow businesses aligned with their deepest desires. Nancy's story is as real as it gets. After a divorce left her with four kids, no job, and over $650,000 in debt. Yes, you heard me right. She had no choice but to rebuild from the ground up. And that she did through resiliency, smart money habits, and a mindset shift. She transformed her circumstances and built two thriving businesses, plus some others. Now she's passionate about helping women manifest the lives that they want and grow businesses with confidence and clarity. Thank you so much for being with us, Nancy.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, can you tell me a little bit about your business and why you got into it other than, the circumstances?
Well, we started with a CPA firm, and when I found myself divorced with all of these problems, I didn't really have any direction, and I certainly didn't want to have another business because a lot of that debt was from failed businesses. I thought I'm just really bad at it. What I didn't realize is that everybody's really bad at it at first because we don't know what we don't know. So it was the recession time, and I didn't have anywhere to go, but I found somebody, a contact, who introduced me to someone else who had a small tax prep business for sale. So we agreed on terms, signed a document, and I started looking for office space for this because he wanted to retire. So it was just a little bitty firm, and I was excited because there was nothing else to do. There were no jobs. There was no way for me to start a business from scratch. I just wouldn't have known what I was doing anyway. I had been a stay-at-home mom for a long time. And so here we went. But the day after I signed the 3-year lease, the guy backed out and gave the business to his daughter.
Oh,
So there I was with all the four kids and the no income and the debt plus a lease payment. So when you get so backed in a corner, what happens is that you don't have any choices. So I couldn't just lie down and let my children starve to death. That was not a choice. So my only choice was to make this work. And when you get to that point, you dig deep for your resources, right? And I really am glad that I ended up at that point because it's helped me so much to know how strong that I am and to build that confidence that I can do something like that. So we started like thinking of how can we get clients? Now, I'm really introverted. I'm not going to go out shaking hands at networking events. And I certainly didn't want to take somebody else's clients either because we live in a little small town. So we came up with this idea to market to people who had federal tax liens filed, and it's public record in Florida.
yeah.
So we started marketing to people with liens in our county and then to surrounding counties. And pretty soon we were doing the whole state, and it worked. Now, mind you, it was not our first idea. The other ones failed, but I kept going because I didn't have anything to quit to. And that one worked. And that is how we got our start. We don't do that anymore, but it gave us so much knowledge of how to handle tax problems that our clients come to us with every day. We know how to do it. It's just like clockwork. So that happened, and we've since built the business far beyond that. It's a wonderful business, but from that, I'm having the same conversations every day, all the time with clients about business. And so I thought, well, what if I recorded that and made it available to a wider audience rather than just people that come in my office? So I thought that could be a good idea. And so that's where Success Your Way was born. And I am having the most fun with it. And I love it so much because we really have come up with these great courses. The first one is a business mindset course called Master Your Business Mindset. And it's really all about the shift because it takes something different to be a business owner rather than an employee.
Oh, you just said something. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop you right
Yeah,
there
yeah, come on.
because that is gold for people to understand, right? It's a completely different mindset from going from an employee to a business owner, right? You're still the same person, but you need completely different skills. You need to think about things completely from a different perspective, right? There's a lot to it. It's not just, oh, I'm really good at what I do, so let me open up a business. It doesn't translate, right?
There's so much more to business than just what you do. If you're a plumber or you're baking cakes, there's a whole other back end office task list that has to be handled. And your mindset has to change about that because you can't just go and do what you do. You have to handle the business aspect of things first. So that's what that is about. And the second course is about the actual nuts and bolts. You're an attorney, so you understand this. Then what kind of entity creation do you need? What kind of entity do you want to operate under, and how does that work? And what about S election for to be taxed as an S corp, and how to make estimated tax payments, and how to think about your exit strategy because that needs to be thought about when you're going into business, not when somebody approaches you and says, "Hey, can I buy your business?" and you're 3 years behind on your bookkeeping and tax prep, and you're like, yeah, sure. And then you're scrambling and you don't even know how much money you're making. So, what is the business worth? You have no idea. So, these are all these things, the systems in place for the business. So, that's course number two. Course number three is called Tame Your Money Monster because people just don't know how to handle their money. It's not just one person. I used to think I was the only one that didn't know how to handle my money. I was the only one in deep debt. I was the only one. But it's not true. I see thousands of people with money problems. Most people have money problems. And so we're just teaching a different way to look at your money and a different, dig down and find out where your money attitudes came from.
That is another gold nugget that people need to understand. I think America is like the right?
Yeah.
There are so many credit card opportunities.
Yeah.
There's so many buy now, pay later, and then you get yourself in trouble and you don't know. And I know a lot of people who make a lot of money, but they're broke.
Yes, that's so common. They spend every dime trying to impress people that don't care about them. Keep up with the neighbors, keep up with the Joneses, have the nicest car. Friend got a BMW, got to have one of those. And their spending is outpacing their income. And it's a horrible place to be. That is the most stressful place.
It is because no matter how much money you make, you will spend it and you will overspend, right? Because it's a habit.
Yes.
And people don't recognize that because they're like, oh, I'll just make more. I'll just make more. And
But you
meanwhile,
can
they're
never fill that void. You can't fill that void with stuff. The void has to be filled with something else. And it's not gadgets and it's not more. It's not all of those things we're grabbing at. It's something different. We have to reach inside and find out who we are and what we really want from life and fill your void with gratitude for what you do have.
exactly. Oh, gratitude. That is like the lifeline of life.
Yes.
I mean, right? Um, and I love because most of this is mindset, right? There's ways to be able to get a grasp on your money with spreadsheets, with projections, with budgeting, right? But if you don't have the right mindset of being able to take care and manage your money, your
Yes.
budgets and projections are just going to go out the window anyway.
That's right. You really have to find out where your money attitudes came from too, and then start learning to block out the ads because you were bombarded with ads. And for me, my money mindset was money doesn't grow on trees because that's what I was raised with. And money is dirty. My mother used to say that all the time. Money's so dirty. And so if you have that attitude, you're not going to be able to hang on to money. Like it's scarce and it's dirty. You don't want it, like subconsciously.
That's a great thing because I've heard that my whole life, right? Money is dirty. You know how many people have touched it? Do you know where it's been? Do you know, right? Um, and so that does really affect your psyche and it affects how you look at money. That's a great point. And the money doesn't grow on trees. I don't know who hasn't heard that either.
It does grow on trees. It's
Right, it's
paper.
paper.
And it's abundant. The universe is full of money. There's tons of money. There's money everywhere. It's very abundant. We just have to get the mindset to where we can receive it.
That's yes, yes. And it's just a value exchange,
Yeah.
right? It's just value for value. It's basically a bartering system.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
It's a resource.
it yes, yes. So I want to get back to your business and your journey. Thank
Okay.
you for all of these. Now, when you started your business, you said you had failed a couple of times before you figured out that, hey, marketing to people with federal leave is what's going to get me there. How a little bit about that because that's a big obstacle that a lot of business owners face is okay, you're a CPA, so I'm going to use CPA as an example. You do taxes, tax preparation. Everybody in the US, probably most of the world, needs someone to help them prepare their taxes. So wouldn't it be easy to just open up a CPA firm and get clients? You know, just like a plumber. Everybody who has a business, a house, is renting, living anywhere, world, again, right, is going to need a plumber at some point. So they would open up and hang their shingle and say, here I am, I'm a plumber. What makes it so hard to get clients? Why do you have a hard time at the beginning? And how did you overcome
So it is hard, when you're starting out to get clients because you don't have any track record, you don't have any referrals, you don't all of those things. And I could have gone to the networking events, I suppose, and tried to get clients that way, but that's just not my style. And so we started with the federal tax liens, which worked because that was immediate. Like people would call right away. The minute they get it, they're calling because ours looked like a wedding invitation. It was a small envelope. We made it look so pretty and we put a real stamp on it. And it really went well, but I also knew that was not a long-term solution. And so I wanted to get an internet presence. And one of the things that we did was start building that because you have to have multiple ways to get clients. You can't just rely on one. I learned that very clearly because what happened with the IRS tax liens was that the government would shut down and they'd stop. Or a hurricane would come up the center of the state and the whole state got put on furlough, basically. They wouldn't file any liens against taxpayers because we'd suffered this giant economic disaster. So I learned that really quickly. So you need multiple ways to get clients. So we started building online for our SEO, and I didn't know no other accountants were doing that. And I didn't know what it would build out to be. And 15 years later, I try to turn off the marketing a lot of times and it doesn't work. The phone keeps ringing because sometimes it gets really overwhelming. Like I had to turn it off a few weeks ago and I turned it off for 2 weeks and we still got like 19 new client calls in those 2 weeks, which is huge. But it's because we built out a way, a funnel, if you will, a way to build client base because you have to figure out whatever it is in your industry. And I would not say figure out one thing, you need to figure out several. So we get referrals, we have the SEO going, we have the federal tax liens if we were choosing to do that at this time. But there's a lot of competition in that arena now too. Our tax lien people would get 50 or 60 letters. It's a lot. How are they going to choose us out of all of that? And that's high pay work, but I wanted to build something that's more lasting, that's more month to month. Like we really built out our accounting service work. So we have a lot of clients and they're either getting quarterly financials or monthly financials and it just we get paid first of every month. You have to establish a really steady revenue stream because it could be scary when some things happen and they always do. Something always happens. You have to be prepared, not to be negative about that. You just have to be in a preparedness mindset. Have plenty of cash on hand, have plenty of ways to get clients or customers or patients or however it is that you see them.
So there are two things that I wanted to talk about. One is the networking, and then two is building a steady stream, right? So for the networking, I love that you said, I'm not going to go do that because that is not who I am. I'm an introvert. And I want everybody in the audience to understand that just because one method works for someone, it does not mean that it's going to work for you, right? We are all different people and we all have different strengths. And as Nancy did, her strength was SEO, her strength was going other marketing avenues and not necessarily the networking, being upfront and center because she's an introvert. So if you're an introvert and people keep telling you, go out and meet people, go out and network, and she that's the only way you're going to grow your business, don't listen. It's not, right?
That's
There are
right.
different ways of doing things, and you have to find what aligns with you as well as what's going to bring you the business. So it's a two-part test, not just one. Right?
Alignment is so important, and I'm glad you said that because I use that word a lot. We have to be in alignment with what brings us joy or our strengths, our unique abilities. We have to be in alignment with that. We can't try to fit a square peg in a round hole. In fact, I talked to this one client one time and they're farmers and they have a farm and they love their farm, but they also have other jobs and they wanted to be able to leave their jobs and do the farm full time. And so they said, "Oh, there's a convenience store for sale right near our farm. We could buy that." And I was like, no, that is a 24/7, very unhappy obligation. You will not like it. So thankfully, they did not do that. They listened. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. You can't go expect yourself to be happy doing something that doesn't align with your values. A convenience store is very different than a farm. You do not want to spend your life there.
Yes. And people can tell, right?
They
You can put
can.
on a smile, you can
Yeah.
try to fake it, but if you're not happy inside because you're doing something that is so uncomfortable and so not you, people are going to just have this weird feeling about you, right? And you
Yes.
don't want that
It shows.
either. It does. And so the other thing I wanted to come back to is having that stream, right? Having a stream, a constant stream, a steady stream of income, having cash on hand, having a steady stream of clients. And I just wanted to come back to the fact of that doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't happen right away.
Absolutely. It does not happen overnight. It was very intentional on our part. And it came to be after the government shut down with no budget and the budget talks were going haywire and so they shut down. Or it came after hurricanes, just disrupted our income so badly. I said, what else can I do? So we can use these seemingly negative moments in our businesses to pivot into something that works better. And I'm so happy we had those moments because now I have something that's so much more stable than that was. And I did stop and think about it because we get so busy. We're busy, busy, busy with the task list and doing all the things that make our business go. We don't stop to think. And I think those moments when we are forced or even choose to stop and think are so valuable because they get you on the right direction. And I actually work on that every day now. Instead of working in the business all the time, I'm working on the business and thinking long term because I now have a lot of people on my teams and I have to really look out for them. I have to make sure this will continue long past me because they all are counting on me. My team members, my clients, everybody. So we have now larger obligation. It's not about us anymore. It's about others. And when you get to that place, you really want to stop and think because if you fail, you're failing for everybody else too.
So, and I love that you said this. One of the things I do in my consulting business is I try to get my clients to have this habit. The smaller they are, the less time they need to work on their business, but they have to get into this habit of putting aside time every week to work on the business, to do the thinking, to do the strategizing, to do the planning and goal setting. And how am I going to get to that goal so that they can be intentional on how their business moves? Right. I always say it's kind of like, because everybody is so worried about, well, if I'm not in the business, I'm not going to make money, right? And it stalls momentum and whatever excuse they want to come up with because of the mindset that they have, right? Um, but it's like a bow and arrow. The further back you pull it, the faster and further forward it goes, right? So the more time you take to plan and strategize and think, the much quicker you can move rather than stumbling everywhere. So I love that you brought that, and I appreciate the fact that you've used that to grow your businesses. So thank you for that.
Well, it's such great advice you're offering your clients. I love that so much because we do have to stop and take time to plan. And I have this exercise that I do for myself. It's called what if. But it's not what if the sky falls? It's what if. What if we did that? What if we did that? And I use it in my journaling. And so I start writing and I get excited. I'm like, oh, what if? I love that question because it opens our minds, it opens our creativity to something different than the grind of the daily to-do list and the daily things in the business.
Opening your mind. One more thing that I want to like really drive home. If you are so busy doing what you do that you're not open to see what your clients need, you're never going to be able to grow and give them what they need, right?
Yes.
Sometimes, and I'm definitely someone who's done this. And I probably will do it again, just maybe on a smaller scale, but we get so engrossed in what we're offering and we love it so much that we sometimes forget to see what's the value that the other person's getting, right? How can we make it better for them? What is their perspective? What do our clients need and want rather than what do we want to give? Right. And so again, it's a two-step process of what are we good at? What can we offer? And how can we make it so that it aligns with our clients as well and gives them the value that they want and need?
That's
Uh,
so wise. I love that you do that because you're right. We have to keep asking what the client wants and needs and keep expanding or changing based on that because you have to be able to pivot in business. You can't just go, okay, this is what I'm doing and keep doing that forever. We'd still
yep.
be stuck back at tax liens. You know what I mean? And business is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And there's gonna be failures. There's gonna be moments of heartbreak. If something goes wrong in our firm, I feel so bad about it. I really just kind of carry it with me. And we have to learn to get past
That's
that and let it go because it's part of business. Failure is part of business. Making a mistake is part of being human as well as running a business. And so we have to be able to get past that and move on and keep
and
refining.
yeah, but
Uh,
that's right. That's your what if. What if I do this with the business, right?
Yeah.
You are looking at your client's perspective. What if you do this? Are they going to like it? Are you going to be able to offer it, right? Like, so yes, it is genius, right?
Yes, we're all geniuses, don't you know, about our own businesses. We are. And if we can open our thought process and our thinking enough to see what our clients are seeing and what they need and really serve them, then we do nothing but grow because that's how we make money is offering value to someone else.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing these obstacles that you've had and how you've overcome them, how you continue to overcome some of these obstacles, because you can either look at them as mistakes and failures or opportunities to learn and grow, right? And you have looked at them as opportunities to learn and grow, and you've actually used them to grow. Um, what are some of the things that are working well in your business, and how did you get them to work well?
We have really good systems inside of our businesses. That is something really important to me because if there aren't systems, it's if it's all locked in my head, then I'm limited by myself, right? I'm the bottleneck. I'm the one that the business can't grow because of me. So I've really pulled myself out, put systems in place, pulled myself out, and let my team do their work because they're awesome and amazing. Really, both of my teams are just incredible. And so if I can let them do what they do best without getting in their way, but within the parameter of systems, then I get to win. Like this is what we want in business, right? We don't want to do it all ourselves all the time because that does limit you. And you have to at first. And that's where I was. I had to at first. And I was trying to juggle, doing tax returns
Right.
with four kids, one of them who broke his arm over and over and over again, another one had a car accident. And, all these things in life happened. Um, but you just make it work somehow and then grow into the systems because don't just think about yourself and what can I do to make it grow. You need to think about what can we do to make it grow because the more people you can help, the more money you can make and the more impact you have in a positive way in the world.
So I have found that when I say you need to have systems, people freak out, right? It is
Yeah.
something just like money, right? Money management and budgeting, they freak out. How did you start implementing and creating systems, right? Knowing that, that's not something that you had a skill for previously.
I did not. I'm not very organized. I did not know anything about systems, but I'm glad you asked that question because I started so small. I started using the task list in Microsoft Office for my systems inside. So I had like, a client was a task and, whatever job we were doing for them. And we put notes in it and we shared all of that. And that was how we started. So it was very inexpensive. It was very small. It was very simple. It does not have to be complicated. I think when you say the word systems, people go, oh my God. That's so complicated. I'm going to have to do this and this and this. And their brains blow it up to way more than it is. But it doesn't have to be hard. It just needs to be a system, some list of things you follow for each job that you do.
That, right? Like you can have a system of opening the office.
Yes.
You can have a system of how do we decide on vacation days or who gets it, right? Like systems can
Small.
be small as in one paragraph small, or they can be as much as, multiple pages long. It just depends on what kind of system and what it is that you're looking to systemize. But I love that you said that because I don't know any businesses that can grow and stay profitable and stay in business without having systems. Um, and one thing, because you're so big on systems, I wanted to ask you about the difference between delegating and abdicating your responsibilities. Because I think it goes hand in hand with the systems and doing the tasks and notes.
Yeah, the person you're delegating to needs to be competent to handle the task. And that's your job to help them and mentor them into that. So, I mean, you can't just hand it off and go, here, do that. And they're like, I don't know. How do I do that? You have to provide a way for them to understand what they're doing and then do it, right? And so that's one of the things is that I like to work with my team, and so I'm willing to sit with them and train them on how to do something. Now, I don't do that as much because they train each other, which is
It's
beautiful and wonderful. But really, at first, you just can't turn it all over. You have to make sure whoever you're turning it over to is competent. And I see this pretty often. They go, "Oh, I need an office manager or somebody to run the firm for me." Well, yeah, but that's going to take time to develop. And the person that runs our CPA firm, she's been with me for 9 years, and she was hired as a part-time assistant. And I was like, oh, I don't think I need an assistant. Oh, what am I going to do with that? But she was part-time for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, and we put her on full time because she was so skilled with the organization, and she was able to handle so much, but she grew into the role of office manager. I didn't just hand it to her and go, here, figure this out. We grew together. And I think that's important because you can't just plop somebody in there and say, here, do that. It requires time and effort on your part to mentor them.
Oh, 100%. I see too many people just hire someone. They're like, here, just do it. And then they're disappointed
Yes.
and they're like, well, why am I going to hire someone else when I can do it myself and it's going
Yeah.
to be a lot easier? And, it's a really bad cycle that they get into because they're abdicating their responsibilities rather than delegating and training and showing them how they want it done.
Yes.
Um, right.
And
And this
something else too, we have to be clear that the person that we're delegating to is not going to do it like we do. Now we can coach them along, but we at some point have to accept that it's not going to be exactly like we would do it. But is it good enough? Perfection's the enemy here. We can't be perfect. We can't expect them to do it perfectly the way we would. And we can't approach them with a micromanagement attitude.
exactly, exactly. It's a delicate balance, and those are skills that business owners need to learn to be successful business owners, right?
Yes, for
Yes.
sure.
So again, with the mindset and the shifts and the skills that you have to learn that are completely different than being an employee, that are completely different than being even a mid-manager, you know? Um, so thank you for sharing all of these things. And you said that Success Your Way is one company that has online, it's an education platform. And how did you get that going? I know you said that it came out of people talking to you and you started recording them, but how is that working? Tell me a little bit.
So I started putting together the classes, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't really understand, but I have a person I work with as a writer, and I've worked with her for, I don't know, 8 years now, maybe. She wrote all our blog posts for Fix It Accounting, and I'm like, let's do this project. And so we've been working together on this project, and we came up with all these classes, and we didn't know how to market that at all. We just really had no skill with that. But you can't just create something. You can't, somebody said to us one time, you just can't keep creating. You've got to at some point learn to market. And so that's what we're doing right now is learning to market that. And it's a new skill set for me. I'm not good at it. I'm not going to say that I am, but it's fun to learn, and I'm enjoying the process, and it's part of like having the mindset of a beginner. We all are really smart in our areas, but we're not smart in every area. And so if you come with a mindset as I'm a beginner, I don't know how to do this, please help me, and put your team together that way, that's how it works. And so I've been very fortunate to have most amazing team members come on board with me. And we are marketing that now and um, making it into a very successful business. So it's exciting.
So wait, you mean to tell me that marketing and education platform is not the same as marketing a CPA firm?
Not at all. Not at all. It's completely different.
Huh, interesting. But
Every industry is different, and I know you know that. I can't use the same marketing methods I've used with Fix It Accounting to market Success Your Way. So, and I've been told for many years I need to be the face. Like, you need to get out there because I'm the one with all the knowledge, and I can just talk about all this stuff just so easily. And I've been reluctant because I'm introverted, remember? And so I've been so reluctant, but at some point, you just kind of have to get over yourself and go, I have something to say, so I'm going to stop being limited by my introvertedness and get myself out there. And I'm actually enjoying it now that I'm here.
because now that you've built the successful businesses, you are able to come out of your comfort zone in a different way, I would assume.
Yes, that's exactly true because it's not about me. I used to think it was, oh, putting myself out there, that's about me, but it's not about me. It's about my audience. It's about who I can help because I do have a lot of knowledge that can help people. And so I'm not being very charitable if I keep that to myself.
Right? So it's a selfless act when you come out of your comfort zone and you start doing things differently. And that's one thing I just want to kind of shed a little light on is one, we had talked about being in alignment and not going out and networking face to face with people because you're an introvert. And so how do we kind of coordinate that with the fact that you have to be uncomfortable and get out of your comfort zone in order to grow, right? And so my opinion is that you need to be a little bit uncomfortable to where you can actually handle it. And the more you put yourself in that uncomfortable spot, the more uncomfortable you can become and be okay with it. Does that
That is
make
so true. That is so true. It has to be something that you're willing to do. So just a little bit of discomfort. I was not willing to go to the networking meetings, and I knew that. But now I'm willing to put myself out there on social media now. I'm willing to do podcasts. I'm willing because now I don't have to do this. I don't, I've got my income covered with the other things that I do. So this is more of it's time to give back because so many people helped me and I owe it to other people to give back because
it?
somebody can learn from whatever it is that I'm saying. And I want to be able to be that person. And if I hide, if I continue to stay in my comfort zone, and where does that leave me? I didn't fulfill my mission. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so you have to really figure out what that is for you.
But yeah, where does that leave everybody else that you're helping
Yeah.
without the help?
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Um,
And there's lots of business help out there, but I know that we all have our own voice. We all have our own way of bringing the information. And maybe there's somebody that can only hear it from me. I don't know. But it's my obligation to put it out there.
yeah, I think it's funny because I always joke around about people pay me for my opinions, and yet my kids will not listen to me.
That's true for all of us.
Right? Like it's funny because you just said someone out there is going to hear me. And it's true because that's where the alignment comes in. You can have five people that are saying the same exact thing, but only one of them actually gets through to you because that's the person who's saying it in a way that is understandable to you. So I love that you're putting yourself out there and sharing this knowledge because I'm sure a lot of people are getting the benefit.
I hope so. But I also know that when we're learning things, we need to hear it over and over and over again, maybe in a different verbiage, a different tone, a different, but we need to hear it again and again for it to get through, at least for me. And I consider myself pretty smart. I mean, not stupid by any stretch of the imagination, but still, I need more than one time to hear something to understand it and to implement it and to get it.
And that's most people, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm saying that. That is most people. We all need repetitive information to be able to understand it because we don't get it the first time. It doesn't really register. Maybe we need other information that came through later to then finally get that particular piece.
Yes. This has been so valuable. This has been so great. Um, I want to know, how can people get a hold of you? How can they work with you? How can they get to the online education platform? How can they get to Fix It Accounting?
We're all online. So fixitaccounting.com, successyourway.com, and we're on all the socials. And go check out our fur accountants on the Fix It Accounting page because we do have dogs in our office and they are the stars of the social media because they're so much fun.
Oh, I love it. And if you missed that, don't worry. As always, it will be at the end of the podcast and it will be in the comments as well. So you can always get a hold of Nancy. And before I let you go, if you could only give business owners one piece of advice, what would that be?
Don't quit.
And there you have it. Do not quit. Thank you so much, Nancy, for being here today. It really has
Yeah. Thank you so much
been
for having me. What a pleasure.
for everybody. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.